Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, January 18th. We are in the middle of the European account and we've been slowly making progress. We need to play rogue cards and druid cards, and eventually I should get the Only the Mighty daily quest done too. It's been a couple of months and I've started seeing a lot more 50 gold daily quests, so it feels like the Hearthstone is being a little less generous. We haven't been seeing as many 100 gold or 120 gold daily quests, and there definitely have been some days where I've forgotten to log in and re-roll the 50s, but even when I do re-roll a 50, it still seems like it's not giving me a big outcome change. We've got a decent amount of news that I want to burn through today, and then heck, maybe I will do something besides just going to sleep later this evening. Maybe I'll get back to playing Hearthstone. I need to actually play Hearthstone and make a video instead of what I have been doing, which is playing not Hearthstone, playing Minecraft is what I'm talking about. Now, I've been playing Minecraft off screen so much because it's Stoneblock 2 as a mod is just so incredibly slow and resource intensive and time intensive that there really is nothing new to say. Like when you're spending 5 or 6 hours and you're just doing the same thing again over and over again, or you're that's definitely a problem. But yeah, I need to wrap up Stoneblock 2 and start playing I don't want to say real game, but a new game, new to me. So I guess the big thing we're doing here is we're trying to play rogue cards, and none of those are rogue cards. Looking at games on Steam, we have Captain Macaw, which just looks like a CGA animation style of a platformer. One assumes that this is a brand new game just designed to look like this. Even if it isn't, it's certainly not a game I recognize, and that definitely puts a nail in this coffin. Also, it's $3.59 for a game that honestly I wouldn't even pay 60 cents for. I don't know what goes through somebody's head thinking that this is a smart animation style. Like, even if you were only capable of animating like this, going with the pink CGA color palette is ridiculously wrong. Let's just do that. Just like a bad visual decision in my opinion. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called How to Sing to Open Your Heart. It's a visual novel that I suspect might be a Chinese visual novel. The animation style seems a little rough. There's a lot of forehead there and a lot of ear here. Some odd chins in that. This could just be an animation style, certainly. Let's see, it's $13.49. Now, visual novels in the past have been really expensive, but they also have to be a little recognizable. I was wrong. It looks like this is English and Japanese only. Fully voiced romantic otome visual novel. Can the cat-eared princess song. Well, if it's fully voiced in Japanese. So I don't know if that makes any difference for me. I mean, it probably does. I would much prefer to play a visual novel where I could hear the Japanese voices and then read the English. Heck, that might even help a little bit of understanding the Japanese language a little bit better. Which, frankly, I don't understand it much at all. Very, very basic. I'll put this on the follow list. I'm being very generous today. So, yeah. I'll put it on the follow list and I'll see what the reviews say. The developers and publishers I've never heard of, though, and I still kind of feel like the art style is a little rough. Let's see, hero attacks, we won't be able to attack this turn. Let's play the rogue class card because that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
The light protects me.
Your minions in your hand have echo, interesting. That might be useful. That and that. And that. Let's see, Gamatsu has an article. Honeycomb Lab establishes Stella Pixel, an independent subsidiary for its ongoing game development project team. Classic style Japanese RPG Prisma currently in development. Let's see, Prisma. There's a work in progress picture we can show here. Seems like it's going with just mostly pixely characters. With maybe you'll get some zoom in picture versions. I haven't heard of Honeycomb Lab or Stella Pixel, so these must be moderately small Japanese companies. Let's see.
I fight.
See, Gamatsu has another article. Wizard Symphony details sub-characters. And these sub-characters, I mean, I guess.
I wonder.
I'm still very much at the point where I don't know what I want to show off and what I don't with the web peak. I guess an article like this really is just to show off the characters, so let's show off the characters. So this last screenshot, so you have a dog, anthropomorphized human with large busts as a character named Lisa, voiced by this voice actress. You have
So many
what could be a goat lady with large busts too, named Claudia. This one looks like a human, named Kanan. And then here you have a little idea of how this RPG really plays. And you have this Black Knight character named Vasilius. And you have this robot armored character called Therese. Then you have a cat girl character with large bust size named Farron. And then you have a even larger bust size let's see.
I fight.
Let's see. Took too long there. This large lady with a whip named, what's her name? Militia. And then you have kind of this water aquatic looking character. And these two guy characters. Not much to say about the guy characters. Though. An old guy and a young guy. The old guy is named Methuselah. So, yep. I haven't heard of Wizard Symphony, so this is really a hype article, and it's probably not the type of article on second thought that really is worth playing. Let's see. Am I gonna die next turn? No, so.
Shadows rise to meet you.
So
Here we go.
Into my turn here. Yeah, I don't really see a reason to show off all of those type of things, because that's just gonna make these streams even longer, and anything that makes the streams longer is kind of pointless, and showing off single images and trying to build up the hype train is something I'm actually against. So yeah, that was a mistake, not something I want to do. Okay, so theoretically I should be able to do this, and then like this.
This guy's toast.
And then I guess I could do this again.
This guy's toast.
And then this again.
Give me your heart. Here you go.
Okay. A game called Psyvario, Psyvariar. No. Psyvariar Delta is coming to the PC January 13th. It's a shoot 'em up game, so I'm not super interested in it. Like, honestly, I could look at the trailer, but I don't think that there's anything in the trailer it could possibly show me that would make me be interested in playing a shoot 'em up game. It looks fine for a shoot 'em up game, it's just not my style of game. How do we want to do this now?
Hey, lights out. Hey, lights out.
Let's pump this up some more. Let's see, next we have a game on Steam called Quantum Covenant. Let's see, what is it tagged as? Action Indie Early Access. It looks like it's a really fast-paced, flying around shooting game. But it looks a pretty generic too, kind of just like a asset flip game. Let's see, yeah. It kind of feels like you're hovering or racing on some kind of water, but I really can't tell on any of these details what I'm looking at. Early access $9.99. Yeah. So yeah, I just don't see anything interesting there.
Who goes there?
Here we go.
Moving on, Gamasutra has an article, Starbreeze delays the console release of Overkill's The Walking Dead. I thought Starbreeze was going out of business. Anyways, the Overkill's The Walking Dead was probably the worst released or biggest failure of 2018. It didn't really have any real hype to it other than the fact that it was a Walking Dead tie-in in the first place, but and I guess Artifact now is like down to 5% of its peak, so Artifact is a pretty big failure too, so it would be an interesting argument. And then you have Fallout 76. Yeah, honestly 2018 was so bad that it's hard to figure out what the worst release game was, but that being said, I think that Overkill's The Walking Dead definitely is in that category for just how much I think they spent on it. Let's see. Starbreeze is the developers of Payday 2. Let's see. So the only thing you could think here though is that if this is going to be good news, which it probably isn't, maybe Starbreeze has something in the works where Overkill's The Walking Dead like gets enough advertisement, gets improved in some way, gets patched some way, and actually manages to be a better game than what it was originally.
This guy's toast.
Here we go. Slay them!
Did I play enough road cards? No, we're still 5 rogue cards short. Yeah, all we're doing is going back and forth with Druid and Rogue, trying to get victories, trying to go up the rank, I suppose. But really just trying to play their cards. TechRaptor has an interesting article. Star Control Origins is back on Steam after a DMCA takedown. Now this is an interesting twist because
I must protect the wild.
This is the point where nobody gets on YouTube, and YouTube probably would not follow the law or interpret the DMCA law the same way as Steam appears to be interpreting it, because somebody filed a DMCA takedown notice for Star Control Origins, claiming the original creator of the Star Control series, or at least the alleged original creators of the Star Control series, and the I imagine the developer of Star Control Origins filed that counter notification, and if this is like YouTube, I imagine the original creators rejected the counter notification, and I think at that point it was the fact that there was already legal proceedings going on that somehow Steam was able to interpret that to say, well, since they're already suing you and you're already suing them, you can put these games back on Steam. If that's not the case, if this isn't the case of Steam following the DMCA procedure the way they want to interpret it, then this would just be chalked up to a fluke or an accident, and we may see Star Control Origins taken down again. At the moment though, I don't see any reason why anybody would want to buy Star Control Origins, because Whether it stays up on Steam is questionable, and thus it's not going to have much of a player base, whether it's a multiplayer or a single player game anyways. The news comes from a post made on the Origins discussion board. It says TechRaptor, we're unsure as to why, but this tweet from Stardock President Brad Wardwar claims the reasons are private. There's a tweet here. Any comments on how you got back on Steam? Will the game return to good old games soon? Nothing I can discuss publicly, unfortunately, other than to say that the dispute is Stardock, GOG, and Valve on one side, and Rydo and Ford, the original creators, on the other. According to the post, Star Control Origins had fallen victims to some review bombing during the takedown. Stardock has taken to selling the game on their own website. And see, that was the other thing, is I figured that somebody probably filed a DMCA takedown on their own on the website, and they probably just ignored it completely. See, it'll be very interesting to see how far Good Old Game or Valve's goes to fight this lawsuit, or how involved they would be, or how involved they actually are, because the whole point of the way DMCAs are done and have dealt with is to directly put Good Old Games and Steam and companies like that not in the middle of these lawsuits. Let's see.
Follow the rules.
Later down in this article it says Wardwell has no faith in Ford and Rydo's takedown, going so far as to call the DMCA harassment.
Anything you can do, I can do. Little time.
Interesting. So he's back up, at least for a small time. Let's see how long it stays back up. Right, if I play this and then do this.
Great idea.
And then let's do this one.
What a bother.
That.
I fight.
That.
Give that minion a turn to get ready.
Match.
For the wilds.
And attack this.
Job's done.
There we go. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Where's the Beach, which looks like it's a asset flip game of a snow covered world. My guess is that this might have something to do with like global warming, but yeah, this looks like it's just a wander around finding objects into the final area. $3.39. That is ridiculously expensive for what is a demo of a game at best. Like a hidden object game in 3D. Do I have enough to win?
I fight.
Possibly. I'm just gonna ignore everybody else and attack. Gamer Sutra has an article. Ubisoft issues an apology for its controversial Assassin's Creed Odyssey DLC. I hadn't really been following this story, or I missed it. but apparently, as I understand it, is there's a new DLC for Assassin's Creed Odyssey in which, regardless of whether you were playing as Alexios, the female character, well, Alexios is the male character, and Cassandra, the female character, in the main game you could have been playing as a male character who sought out male companionship or relationships, or you could have been a female character who sought out female relationships, which to my understanding the way the genetic memory worked is that you had to have the DNA of the direct descendants of those people to go back in time in the Animus to see it. So I think that was the understanding of most people, but apparently I'm hearing that even that is not true. That actually they've no longer made it canonical or necessary that that happens. So just it seems like anybody can like they had already changed it where anybody could see the memories and relive the memories of other people, but they somehow were getting the DNA of somebody who was a direct descendant. So it kind of makes sense that at some point the characters, even if they were mostly interested in the same sex, would have had to have a child. I think there's probably some canonical story reasons why that would make sense, but it certainly is a give and then a take away for people who wanted to play as their characters, make their characters gay. And so people are not happy about it. In the time frame, I don't think that there was much of a hard definition for gay or straight. I think it was more whatever, more kind of you can do whatever you want and we don't care. You can sleep with men or women or both, or like, so an argument might have been made that, oh yeah, this is just something that happens. So his DLC is called Shadow Heritage. Players enter a scripted relationship with a man if they're playing as Cassandra, or a woman if they're playing Alexis, in order to have a child. Ubisoft's rationale behind the decision was to have the unavoidable relationship be a twist as part of a set story and hype the next chapter of the DLC. Quote, our goal was to let players choose between a utilitarian view of ensuring your bloodline lived on or forming a romantic relationship, he explained. We attempted to distinguish between the two, but could have done more to this more carefully, as we were walking an airline between role-playing choices and story, and the clarity and motivation for the decision was poorly executed. According to Dumont, the person being quoted, players will not have to engage in a lasting romantic relationship if they don't want to, as they can continue their adventure in the next DLC. Quote, we have read your responses online and taken them to heart. This has been a learning experience for us. Understand how attached you feel of Cassandra or your Alexis is humbling. Inherently, there is a problem with this, in my opinion, with giving just too much choice to a character in the first place. Like, the Assassin's Creed series has never been a series that was not built around telling stories, and romance stories in particular. When you think about Ezio in Assassin's Creed 2, like, a significant amount of his stories and entire missions are built around the romance missions and memories. So what I think they failed to do, personally, in Assassin's Creed Odyssey was, and this isn't even really Assassin's Creed Odyssey as it started with Assassin's Creed Origins, is they've been, with Origins, pushing it to this open world RPG game where you can do anything and play anything, and whatever happens in the story line and whatever is in the general narrative doesn't really matter. So as they kept going that way and giving more freedom of choice to the characters, to the player to form their own characters, what they're getting closer to is a modern day Skyrim type of game, where the only things that are forced upon a character in Skyrim is you're a Dragonborn, and you can do the Dragonborn spells. Otherwise, everything is just kind of your choice. Like, if you want to be a assassin, you can be an assassin. If you want to be a thief, you can be a thief. No, arguably, the game heavily pushes you towards being all of those things, but if you're absolutely against it, you can definitely be absolutely against it. But that level of choice has never been in the Assassin's Creed series, and it really is not in there, wasn't in the nature of the game for them to be ready to do that.
The light protects me.
In the case of Ezio's trilogy, there is a point where you see Ezio sleep with like a Templar lady, and that's where the memories stop and the DNA of Ezio stops and goes towards the goes with the Templar lady if it was to be continued, one assumes. This article continues. Ubisoft went on to confirm that the content of Shadow Heritage will not be changed, but the next chapter of the DLC will make character development choice much more clear to the players, and that is where they will be able to decide how they want to handle their relationship now that they have ensured that their bloodline will continue. The thing I don't know about is how they made it non-canonical that bloodlines had to be maintained, but I heard that alleged that wasn't something anymore. I also would like to kind of know, like, how else could you really have done this? Because what occurs to me is the only other way this works, where if the story writers absolutely need you to sire a child, the only other way this works is for both the male and female character in the DLC to have been unwillingly forced into having sex and having a child. Which there's ways. I mean, you could certainly have done they got drunk and they had sex. Oh, they were actively physically held down and raped. Like, none of those seem like they are much better. You could have had it where there was a character that begged them to to give them a child, and it was just a, like, they were a good friend and you agreed to do it, but it wasn't any emotional tie-in to that. But none of those really are great scenarios. Deal 5 damage, gain
Folks, who goes there?
5 armor. So all you could do is maybe have not had that as part of the story. I hear also this DLC was handed off to a different team, but that's not believable. That the creative director, who is Jonathan Dumont, actually, now that I read this article a little bit more, it's not believable that even if you handed it off DLC development to another team, that you would let them change the story so drastically without being in on those decisions.
Here we go.
So that's not really a good excuse either. Yeah.
Blade be thirsty.
Like, you could possibly do like a blood transfusion or magic or something. I mean, the ancient aliens magic certainly could have come into place. You could have made a piece of Eden that merged DNA for merged people and merged their memories and their DNA. Like, that would have been a cool move too. But clearly they weren't trying to be too creative or think about it. They were just trying to keep what is an extremely long series and keep the canon somewhat manageable. There we go. So one more Druid game should be it for today. As somebody who hasn't played Origins, who hasn't played Odyssey, who hasn't played anything actually since Black Flag, no, I haven't even played Black Flag. I haven't played anything since Assassin's Creed 3. There's, like, I'm nowhere close to these games to even care about them. Plus, honestly, I think Origins might be the point in which I stop playing Assassin's Creed games anyways. I'm trying to cover like 1, maybe 2 a year, just to try and catch up, and it's pretty impossible. And I need to get rid of all of these cards because I'm trying to play Druid cards. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article, a steampunk otome game, Steam Prison, is coming to PC this Valentine's Day. Let's see. I'm fuzzy on what otome means. I think it's where you play as a female character, generally going for male relationships, male romance. Let's see. The first screenshot is a female character with blood, covered in blood, and a bloody dagger on there. It says, in Steam Prison, our heroine hails from a utopian city of the Heights, blah blah blah. As part of the Heights police force, she chooses to lead a mission that take her to the depth, a dark city that lies below the Heights. It is in the depths she discovers a world far different from her own. Away from the lights of the Heights, she finds a city filled with violence and despair where people struggle simply to live. Okay. Start with that. And then there's some, yeah, sample screenshots. Let's see, is this coming from Manga Gamer? Let's see, and this really is just a Manga Gamer ad because this Tech Raptor is an affiliate partnership with Manga Gamer. Which is kind of weird too because Tech Raptor doesn't really promote mangas, I mean visual novels, much. Okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to play something else?
We will devour this
Let's go ahead and just kill that guy right now. Yeah, so this isn't really much of an article, other than to say, yes, a game is coming out on Valentine's Day. I would have seen that anyways. That's the kind of article, if I did a little bit better job of pre-filtering articles, I would have not mentioned. Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article. Cloud Imperium Games spent $4 million a month in 2017 developing Star Citizen, which is ridiculous because I don't believe Star Citizen is out. Yeah, it says this is pretty interesting as Star Citizen is still in development but has already brought about $200 million in revenue. It's one of those games that's just always going to be in development, I'm fairly certain. There we go. I don't think there's really much more to say beyond that, though. See, Tech Raptor is a probably advertisement article. Become an eldritch god of the sea in Sea Salt. Tech Raptor and many video game journals seem to be obsessed with Cthulhu-esque games, and this is like an 8-bit pixely top-down style game, top-down twin-stick shooter style game it looks like, at least in part. Let's see. Sea Salt will be released on Steam Q1 2019, it says. Yeah, again, the article that's probably not something that would have been worth mentioning. Next, we have a game on Steam called In Orbit, which looks kind of just like a low effort space flying around orbiting game. Like, thinking back to all the time I wasted doing Kerbal Space Program trying to get in orbits, this is kind of the last thing I'd want to do. Requires a VR headset, it's free. Like, experience. Like, yeah, In Orbit doesn't look particularly interesting. Next, we have a game on Steam called Displacement Arcade Box, which looks like a collection of terrible, low-effort games designed to look like old-school arcade games like Tetris. Yeah, but this just looks MS Paint level graphics, which we really haven't been seeing too many MS Paint level visuals lately. $2.69 discounted, yeah, right? So maybe some people have been encouraged to stop making the MS Paint level graphics games. Let's see. See, it definitely would be a weird scenario though if Valve started rejecting games because they said this game appears to be visually low quality, because you know that such a generic descriptor would get abused. There's kind of no way that wouldn't happen. Let's see. I guess this is the wise move. Here, and here.
All the while.
And do that. Next we have a game on Steam called Pion, or Peon. Looks like a top-down twin-stick shooter game. It's zoomed out too much and it's just kind of, you know, a lot of flashy graphics close to each other with some kind of boring looking environments. This isometric perspective in which the camera is slightly tilted doesn't help. The fact that the buildings are 3D and tall doesn't really help your ability to see things. This is $19.99. This might be a good game, you know. Any number of twin stick shooters that I've looked at might have been good games, but just the fact that they're twin stick shooters usually means I'm not willing to play them, and this is just like another example of that. Also, it seems like your spaceships are flying around as a twin stick shooter, which is not really what I'd be going for. Right. Let's do this. And this. And there. We did a bunch of that. We got everything done. We've got about 15 more games to talk about, and then that'll be the end of the stream. But yeah, I'm stretching like every single turn. Okay.
What a bother.
That and that. I'm gonna make this one poisonous. Then go 2, 4, 6. Kill that one.
For the wild.
Here we go. Next we have a game on Steam called Crazy Archery, which seems like you're playing archery to shoot people, which is a little violent. And yeah, this seems like a kind of basic, just dumb cell phone game concept being sold on Steam. Early access for no reason, 59 cents discounted. Yeah, I really wouldn't want to play an archery game where I'm just shooting people. Even if it was like a Hitman, Sniper Assassin, like mini game, doing that with archery seems really, really brutal and cruel, and yeah, I just would not be cool with something like that unless you did it very, very well. Okay, so if I hit this one and then that one,
For the wild. Job's done.
there we go. Next we have a game on Steam called Echoes of the Past, The Citadels of Time Collector's Edition, which is from Big Fish Games. Big Fish Games hasn't put anything out in a couple of weeks. It seems like they've really limited themselves down to like one new hidden object game, collector's edition, every 2 weeks. That being said, they're still very much selling everything for $12.13. It would be $35.96 to buy the entire bundle of this Echoes of the Past collection, which totally isn't worth it. Let's see, Gamma Sutra has an article. Netflix now claims Fortnite is a bigger competitor than HBO. Depending on your target audience, I think that is totally accurate. Yeah, it does kind of make sense that your competition for young kids, which is I think a big part of the people who watch Netflix, would be video games and Fortnite, which is free, not HBO, which HBO barely puts any kid-friendly content on, and even HBO's adult content like Game of Thrones is few and far between. Like, if HBO kind of blended with Starz and several other extended cable channels like FX and like TNT, TBS, and things like that, if all of those became one mega channel, maybe then there would be enough content to think like that mega channel was enough to compete with how much Netflix has. Although Netflix's bigger competitor certainly is also losing the rights to what it has. So this article goes into it. It says, in a recent earnings report, Netflix said its earnings around 10% of television screen time. Said it earns around 10% of television screen time in the United States, though it averages less than that on mobile screens. Which I guess that would be an indicator. I'm just gonna play these cards because I'm about to lose.
Well played.
Curiously, the company then talked about its ability to earn consumer screen time away from a very broad set of competitors before adding that it also competes with and loses to Fortnite more than HBO. And yeah, that seems very accurate to me. Like, very rarely am I in a situation where I want to play a... Oh man, I still need to play one rogue class card. Like, very, very rarely am I in a position where I want to watch something on Netflix versus play a video game. The only time I turn on Netflix is because I'm supposed to be scheduling videos and it's background noise. But if I am, to my own mind, supposed to be recording content and playing video games, I'm recording content and playing video games. And even most recently, I'm actually playing Minecraft off screen more than I'm making actual videos of Minecraft. So even then, there are some times when I will just play video games because, and that extends also to my cell phone in particular, where I am simply not like, I'm playing on my cell phone and playing games just for fun or just to maintain things. Clash Royale, yeah, it's like every day I'm on Clash Royale, not because I air it on my YouTube channel, just because I'm maintaining what I've done there. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Artist Idol. Draw pictures and them and become a famous artist. And here you have a stolen picture from One Punch Man immediately. What's weird here is you have all these like blurry images, and then you have what looks like some kind of stats, and it seems like maybe you input an image by default and then it reverse paints it. Like, it seems like it's just an idle game and kind of a troll game. Yeah, and you're just like clicking and you're leveling up so that the game itself can draw.
I fight.
And I kind of like the thumbnail for Artist Idol, and it's a free-to-play game, but it has in-app purchases, and I think like this is totally a scam. Yeah, this is totally a troll game or a scam game, even at free-to-play. I don't know how you turn a game like this into a real game, an idle game, or you're painting, or you're not painting but the game is painting.
I don't have enough mana.
Let's do that. Start with that.
Job's done.
Moving on, let's see. Gamasutra has a block. Netflix's Bandersnatch UX. Cinema meets gaming. How to make the marriage last. So, I've heard a few more people talk about Bandersnatch, and it seems like people who like Black Mirror and like movies and review movies and TV, it seems like they had a much better experience with it than people who are more video game critics. And that kind of makes sense that, like, if you are used to passive entertainment, your passive entertainment turning into interactive entertainment is a major step forward. However, if you're used to interactive entertainment, video games, and you play Black Mirror Bandersnatch, you realize it's not very interactive and it's kind of boring. And it doesn't really respect the player's choices. So here in this article they have a paragraph: misses by Bandersnatch's interactive fiction format. Number 1, no emotional investment from the viewer up front. That's certainly true. And then they're showing some pictures of some other characters. Now, let's see, this is a long article. And number 2, the higher purpose goal setting behind users' rationale for decision making is the second part.
The scourge will devour all.
There's long paragraphs with each of these questions. This is a actual article blog instead of what you usually get is just like 3 sentences pretending to be paragraphs. Number 3 is differentiating rewards for active versus passive choices. And it goes into more detail. 4, perhaps a simpler plot, branching stories, and a happy ending. Yeah. I wouldn't hang too much on the complaint that Bandersnatch doesn't have a simpler plot, but the way the interactivity kind of just changed what the plot was, the plot is kind of just all over the place. It was for me. It's like whatever you chose made reality be that way, so there wasn't a revelation or no, this is really how it happened. The stories don't branch at all, really, not by much in Bandersnatch. And as far as a happy ending, the ending I got that I feel like is the true ending is not really a happy ending, but it was a happy enough ending for the story that was being told. Although the argument can be made that all the other endings are kind of forced into being unhappy endings for no reason. And so yeah, this Gamasutra blog is quite long if you're interested. This is probably the last time I'll talk about Black Mirror Bandersnatch, unless they do something really interesting, which is to make an addition to it and just like update it. But I don't see a real reason why you would do that, because I imagine most people who watched it didn't even see a significant portion of the content, and so it would be kind of repetitive and redundant to do that. Let's see.
For the wilds.
Moving on, Gematsu has an article. The Angry Video Game Nerd 1 and 2 Deluxe has been announced for consoles. I tried to play Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures on Steam. I felt like it was a bad game making fun of old bad games, and that's not really what it should have been. It was a super hard game. I'm not even sure I knew that there was a second one, but if there was, I took it off the wish list because, oh, I should take it off the wish list if I didn't, because, you know, if I can't finish the first game, there's no reason to go down the route and buy the sequel. Okay, so now I just need to play Rogue. Next we have a game on Steam called Bitworm, which looks like Centipede. Let's see, is this just Snake or Centipede? I think it's actually Snake. Just a really slow looking version of Snake with visual effects on top of the screen for no good reason. Like screen tearing. 99 cents. See no reason why this would ever be something I wanted to play. Alright, I'm gonna hold on to these two cards.
None will survive.
Next we have a game on Steam called Age of Fear, the Free World. Looks like it's a top-down real-time strategy game. Says it's an RPG game though. Interesting. Yeah, this looks more like a real-time strategy game than what an RPG game would be. Maybe it's a little bit of both. Either way, it's not very visually appealing. Anytime you see like screens with just one still images, you know they don't have much to show. Age of Fear, the Free World is free and doesn't even have in-app purchases. Apparently it's free because they're trying to promote Age of Fear 3, the Legend, which, okay, you know, let's look at Age of Fear 3, the Legend and see if there's any reviews on that. Yeah, it's got pretty decent reviews, but I still don't. It's like a turn-based top-down real-time strategy. But I guess you can't call it a real-time strategy at that point if it's turn-based. So it's a turn-based top-down strategy game. But even this third one still visually looks like just awful. Not appealing at all. And Age of Fear 3 The Legend came out September 1st, 2017. So they haven't done anything for about a year. And now they're promoting their old game, trying to sell it some more. But yeah, I don't see anything there. Play that.
Here we go.
Next, we have a game on Steam called Profundum, which looks like it's a full motion video VR game. See, you kind of looks like a full motion video walking around. Either it is that, or this is just a video of somebody playing the game and being cut into it. Let's see if we can get a better look at what... a lot of dark screenshot syndrome happening here. Yeah, I think that video was not a fair depiction of what the game actually looks like. I think the game is in first-person perspective. See, $19.99 requires VR. I might put this on the follow list, though. I think that there's a fair chance here. Let's do that. Do that. Do that. And in the turn. I'm seeing just a lot of gears. And I don't know if the gears actually turn into a gear puzzle, or if this really is just a VR game where you're having to just spin gears over and over again. I'll put this on the follow list though. Like, high chance this will get terrible reviews or no reviews, and even if it does get good reviews, it's still a VR game, so I'm not playing it anytime soon, if ever.
This guy's toast.
The light protects me. Here we go.
Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Tunchi Arena, which looks pretty fast-paced. Hack and slash beat 'em up, running around. Looks like you've got some upgrades. Looks like you got some boss fights with a diseased pink dolphin. This doesn't look bad. It's already rated positively. This is one of those games where I wouldn't be surprised if I saw some of the mainstream video game journalists actually cover this in the next week. It's free. Apparently it was Kickstarted, but the main game, here's the trick. The main game is coming soon. And what is the main game gonna be? Like more of a traditional thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's an actual game difference between the arena and the other.
Choose soon.
There probably is, but I'm seeing a video that looks exactly the exact same video is on the arena one as is on
Hey,
the
lights out.
on the main game. Yeah. I guess Chunchi Arena is a demo, so I'm not willing to put a demo in the follow list, but I will put the main game in the follow list and we'll see what happens there. Let's see. That should work. Next we have a game tag nudity and sexual content called Hentai Jigsaw, so I won't show that. It is just a small piece count, you know, 16 to 20 pieces of jigsaw puzzles that, when assembled, seem to show anime girls in states of undress. It is 61 cents discounted. What's I would say is slightly weird about these screenshots is that every single screenshot just has the pictures of the pieces half assembled or completely disassembled, so it's only showing a bare a small shadow silhouette of some of the images, so it probably has considerably less to depict than even an average game, low effort game like this. It may only have 6, well, it says it has only 10 levels, so 10 pictures is my guess, is all it has. Like, again, these kind of games probably shouldn't be allowed on Steam, and just because they're low effort games. And yeah. But on the other hand, maybe it's just easier and better if they are allowed. There we go. See, we have maybe like 5 more pages, and we have all of the Asian account to still do, so it took us quite a long time to get all of the daily quests done on the European account. It didn't take very long to do the American account, so let's now move over to the Asian account. Meanwhile, we have this game called Black Box Alpha, a multiplayer first-person shooter horror game. It doesn't look terrible. It is probably just an asset flip game, though. Unfortunately, that's kind of the case. It's early access, discounted for $1.79. Yeah, I don't see anything here that would interest me. Now, on the Asian account, we have play 4 more Death Rattle cards. I probably wouldn't want to reroll that. Win a game with the Shaman or Mage, and win a game with a Shaman or Mage. Or pull this as Shaman or Mage. So I kind of have to re-roll this, which luckily still lines up, but this is victory after victory after victory, so all I can really do. Well, first of all, I want to come back here and just double check to make sure I did the Tavern Brawl. Yeah, I did it 3 times because I had a daily quest that required that. I'm just going to play casual because we're actually looking for victories here. And I think some of this is just going to have to be done off screen. Next, we have a game on Steam called The Legacy of Music, which again looks like a asset flip game. First person shooter with blocky pixely graphics. And that certainly is not what I would expect from a game called The Legacy in Music. Yeah. Just some generic shapes, it looks like. Single player with online multiplayer, 7 new levels.
Throw versus Rexa.
Don't see anything here that is interesting.
For Doomhammer.
Like, even if it does have puzzles, I think... Like, the thing I would say about Portal that makes it such a great game is the fact that Portal 1 and Portal 2, at no point do you get a gun. So, if you were to make a Half-Life 3 and bring in, like, the Portal technology, where, like, Gordon Freeman had the Portal gun, I'm still not sure I'd be super happy with what I was playing with, because I very possibly would then have to deal with all the guns that were in the previous Half-Life series that I know people would demand and love in Half-Life 3, but that's certainly not something I would want. And that's a kind of great position where Portal as a series and Half-Life as a series could always stay separate, is that Chell, or whatever character you're playing as in the Portal series, never has a gun, and Gordon Freeman always has some kind of crazy gravity guns and such. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article, BYJU acquires an AR educational startup, Osmo, OSMO, for $120 million. I haven't heard of either one of these companies, so this is a little bit too inside baseball for me. This is a Gamasutra article. Let's see, Elemental. There's a picture here of some kind of device talking about this Osmo, I imagine, where it's like kids building things with shapes, and are they called nonograms or tanagrams? Something like that. And then there's some kind of iPad looking, it's not really an iPad, but some kind of tablet looking device that seems to act as this is what you're supposed to build. Let's see, apparently Osmo was founded by former Google employees Sharma and Jerome Scholler back in 2013, and they were developing a series of digital and offline learning apps tied to customized hardware for iPads and Android tablets. You know, in all fairness, if I worked at Google, I probably would only work there for a short amount of time just to say I worked at Google, and then immediately try to move to a different company. GameIndustry.biz has an article, a new CEO for Hi-Rez as the founder Erez Goran steps down and Stuart Chisam takes over. Hi-Rez I've heard of, I can't think though what they've done. Let's see. Says the company shifted its business last year by establishing 3 different development studios, each specializing in individual games: Smite, Paladins, and Realm Royale. Okay, those are the games that...
Stormy.
Okay. I'm gonna lose. Next we have a game on Steam called Once, O-N-C-E. Looks like it's a Chinese visual novel. You can probably tell a bad visual novel when it's just showing you a background and nothing else. And just showing you screenshots with like no text and no indication of anything. Now the animation doesn't look terrible, but there is something weird here, that there's no text on screen and no interface, except for in this video. English language not supported, $2.39, and simplified Chinese. I wouldn't be surprised if this really is just like 5 minutes or an hour of gameplay, not 5 minutes. Oh, it says about 60 minutes in length right here. Yeah. So, yeah. That's not really what people who are fans of visual novels want to hear. Generally speaking, you want a visual novel to take a good long amount of time, because, see, this is where the fact that people in Japan commute so much on trains comes in, is that theoretically, if you can play a visual novel on a mobile device, you can spend a lot of time that way. The other thing is, if you live in Tokyo, it's so expensive to go out and do anything, that playing a visual novel is actually probably pretty cheap. That's in general what video games always have been, is that they've been expensive on the up front, but they've been very good for keeping people busy and not out, you know, going to bars, watching movies, playing in arcades, gambling in pachinko parlors. That one's more specific to Japan, but yeah. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Chisekai Runner, which doesn't look like it's very good quality. Looks like it's just kind of a racing running game, but I don't even know if it really is that. It might just be based on like dice rolls and like a Mario Party style of moving around the map. $4.24. It's way too expensive for this. And oddly, it's English and Latin American Spanish is the languages it supports. Alright.
There is little time.
Elemental.
It's not a valid target.
Here we go. Now this next game I don't even want to show you because it's just like a straight up troll game. It's called Toilet Simulator, and the first screenshot is a person sitting on the toilet fully naked, a male I assume. It's slightly blurred, and looking straight down while holding a newspaper into the toilet, and it seems like this is just like a total joke troll game. There's turds flying everywhere. It's 49 cents. It says more content is coming. I don't even like the content that's here. It's English and Russian, no surprise there. A Russian troll game. It is questionable, certainly, why this game would have been allowed on Steam. Like, I guess this is a good test to see if Valve is going to stick to not being the tastemakers. I mean, what better way can you test somebody on whether they're going to be a tastemaker or not than to put onto their storefront something that is some of the most hideous, distasteful things you could show. By the way, it seems like the game has just 2 keys, one to pee and one to poo.
Is someone injured?
So, like, I guess this troll garbage game that nobody should buy and really shouldn't be on the storefront might have its own use as a just, this doesn't seem to cross the line. So if this was allowed on Steam Direct and on Steam, why would anything else be not allowed? Moving on, Gamer Sutra has an article. Bethesda bans Fallout 76 players who accessed the secret developer room. And the way I heard this or saw this, it seems like they emailed the people who they banned saying your account is banned because your player data is corrupted. Please tell us how you access this this secret developer room so that we can fix it, and we will consider unbanning your account. And it really felt like, knowing Bethesda and not really wanting to trust them, it really felt like what they were saying is trying to trick people into admitting that they had snuck into the developer's room, which would then give them a way of stopping other people from doing it and doing their work for them, also while giving them an excuse to say, well, since you admitted to breaking the rules this way or this way, we're going to unban your system. We're going to maintain the ban on your account. And people paid for Fallout 76, so this is like, when you ban somebody's account on any of these services, it's like you're potentially starting a whole fight with me personally. If I was banned unfairly from a game, which it would have to be unfairly, frankly, because I don't cheat or anything like that, I would call the credit card company. I would dispute the charges. I would say, I want my money back. I'm not paying $60 for a broken Fallout 76 game just to get banned, or $60 for any game to get banned. Moving on though, TechRaptor has an article. Kingdom Hearts VR experience has been delayed for a second time. I don't think too many people are going to be super upset about that, but it seems like it's now coming out January 23rd. I feel like, yeah, not too many people are really care. If you're just aching for Kingdom Hearts 3, the VR experience is just advertisement and hype anyways. But it's pretty ridiculous to delay something twice. You just have more realistic time frames. Give yourself a bigger buffer. Like, if you have to delay anything, put in a few extra days or a few extra weeks, whatever is realistic, and then say, hey, we pushed it back. The worst case scenario is say, hey, we pushed it back 4 weeks, and actually we can release it in 2 weeks, if that suits your needs. Let's do this. Next, we have a game on Steam called My Exotic Farm. Looks like it's trying to be a kid-friendly farming, although technically I would say this is a ranch, because it seems like you're doing animals, not plants. Growing animals, or raising animals. Looks kind of just like a cell phone game and a kid-friendly game. It's $8.99. But yeah, nothing here looks actually interesting either. And see, I just have a couple of things left. Ghost of a Tale got a patch. Patch release 7.91 came out January 18th, and it adds more audio to the game Ghost of the Tale. Let's see. It adds like a photo mode. A brand new character theme tracks composed by somebody, and so it's like new audio and new content being added to that game, which is kind of surprising. I mean, the game has been out. It should be time to. Let's say, should be time to work on your next game, I would assume. Ghost of the Tale is like one of the 3 different mouse rat games that came out in 2018. Let's see, moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article, Get a Job, Crystal Dynamics is hiring a camera designer in Redwood City, California. Crystal Dynamics seems to be constantly hiring, which is nice, I suppose. And then we've got a game on Steam called Chill. Now this anime 3D model I think I've seen before, so this I guess is a low effort asset flip game. You could probably guess that too when half of the screen is built for the gameplay and half of the screen is just to show what is probably an asset flip bridge with an asset flip anime girl. Seems like you're trying to move the mouse outside of the boxes is, I think, what you're supposed to do. It's like a super simplistic game. Super simplistic game happening here. 66 cents. And a bunch of languages supported, I bet, because there's no actual text in it at all. Let's see. And so that leaves me at the Humble Bundle. The Deadly Class Bundle is still going on, and I think I did watch the first episode on Sci-Fi of Deadly Class. I'm not sure I'm really going to be able to stick with it that long. Inherently, there's a problem, I think, with the Sci-Fi Channel trying to do a comic book, an adaptation of that comic book, because quite frankly, there's just not any way you can have a series where it's kids in schools kids kind of in high school attacking each other, hurting each other. They like busted the nose of one girl. They broke the arm of another guy in the first episode. They're murdering people. It's hard to have that as on TV, as it's kind of just blatant celebration of murder and assassination, and it doesn't have enough style, I think, to justify getting around that or feel artistic. The other thing is it also feels like it's being directed very poorly, and maybe it's translating word for word what's going on from the comic books, when there needed to be a lot more lines of dialogue, a lot more scenes thought out. It seems like it just jumps around. It says very few words for as long as the first episode went. But that's me reviewing a TV show based on a comic book series that I haven't read. As for this, I could go down my Twitter feed and see if there seems to be a few more games happening. Apparently PAX South is also happening, but I think it's not really worth it to do that. Like, it's always boring to sit here and have me stream, and yeah, it seems like only like 2 games came out, and maybe one bit of news that's not that important came out even in between when I started streaming and now. So let's just wrap up the stream here. It's been a good couple of episodes, and off screen I'll deal with getting 2 more Shaman or Mage card victories and playing Death Rattle stuff. That's going to be it for the stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.